Right, I'm going to do a very short video about airbrushing. Quite a few people have asked how do you go about airbrushing with silicone. I'm just going to turn the fans off. When I do airbrushing, I always use these fans for filtering the air. I don't know if they do any good, but it makes me feel better. I also use a mask, so it's really important that you do protect yourself. Definitely do your own research. Don't go on what I say, because really it's your health, and basically what you're doing is you're putting silicone and solvents into the air, which you would then breathe in, which would stay in your lungs, presumably. I don't know what the health and safety thing is, so I always, I'm a bit lax with generally with health and safety, but I always say definitely use a proper mask, a proper, these are masks for chemicals, for air-based chemicals. They're not just dust. You don't use just a dust mask or a surgical mask or something thinking, well, I've got a mask on. You haven't got a mask on. You've got a piece of tissue across your face. So I'm going to use Psycho Paint, and I mix it to a fairly diluted consistency, because it needs to be to get through the airbrush. This is Psycho Paint. So the airbrush I use, the one I use, it's a medium range one. It's a Badger airbrush. I absolutely love it. I think this is my third one. The reason I get the same one is that they're all slightly different. And I've just gone and lost a piece on the floor. They're all slightly different, and I actually know how to take this one apart and put it back together again. You'll get to know. Just do it a bit at a time. Don't take it all apart as soon as you get it. Take a little bit off and put it back on. Think, right, that goes there and that goes there, and it becomes obvious what's happening and how to do it. The compressor, don't ask me what it is. It's just an airbrush compressor. I don't think it's anything fancy. But it just works. I mean, we are not going to be painting like people do, you know, doing fine strokes and things. Some people obviously do that, but I don't know how to use an airbrush to that degree. So basically, all I'm doing is using it as just a spray, just a sprayer. So I'm just going to pop this away for the moment, and I'm going to just mix up this paint. So what I'm going to do is, while I'm the only babies I really airbrush are the fantasy babies, and this is my Neptune. He's for an order, he's going out next week. So I've done some underpainting on him of the flesh. I pour them in two-tone, and then I airbrush them so that they you can't actually see the join. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing up the Psycho Paint, and then for airbrushing I use naphtha just to as a solvent. I find it makes it feel, I may be talking rubbish, but it feels like it's a finer fluid. It feels like it dissolves the silicone better into a much thinner fluid. I don't know if I'm talking rubbish with that. It's just how I don't know the technicality of it. It's just how I feel when I'm using it. But it stinks, I've got to say. It's not good. I'm sure there are things that you can do, like get booths and things like that to use. But I tend to only airbrush for sort of, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I'll go out the room, shut the door. Never have my dogs in the room when I'm airbrushing, never, or the cats. Don't ever do it with a child or anybody else in the room, because you really, you want to take responsibility for your own health, but you don't want to ruin somebody else's, or certainly not a cat or a dog. I say that as if cats and dogs are more important than people. Right, I'm going to mix this with an Emphis blue. I've got this little palette which is absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to use Peacock Blue. And I'm going to mix quite a strong colour. With airbrushing I mix a much stronger colour than I do when I'm painting, because you somehow you can get away, you don't want to, if it's too dilute, you're spraying away and there's hardly any colour coming out. I like to mix a fairly deep colour. I'm going to add some more pigment. There's no way I would have anything this deep if I was painting. When I come to do the airbrushing, I won't be talking because I'll have my mask on. Even just mixing up like this, it doesn't smell nice. I'm sure you can probably use the low odour thinners, but don't be, even if you use a low odour thinner, don't be lulled into a false sense of security because you can't maybe smell it. It's still doing just as much harm. Just because it's odour free doesn't mean it's harmful. Right. Okay, I'm just going to try that out. What I tend to do is just try it out on a roll, a kitchen roll, or a paper towel roll. So I'll just try it out before I put my mask on. Right, this is my airbrush. It's a top feed one. I don't know what the technical terms are. I'm going to pour some in without dropping it on the doll's face, hopefully. Put the lid on. I'm just going to try it out on my paper towel. So when you do it, you press it down. I mean, every airbrush is probably different. I don't know. I've only used this one type really. So you press it down and pull it back for the colour. So you press it down for the air and you pull it back for the colour, and then you can control it that way. So I'm just going to press that out. I think it's still a bit pale, to be quite honest. So I'm going to pop it back in the mixing thing. And put some more colour in, more pigment. So that noise, there was the airbrush compressor just starting up. What my compressor does is it puts air into the tank. I might be saying all the wrong things, but this is how in my head it works. It feeds air through into the tank, and then it pulls air from the tank. So as you're working, it's pulling air from the tank, but as the tank then gets lower in pressure, it then tops it up, so it will come on again. So if you have it switched on, you'll find, like my studio's next to my bedroom, in the middle of the night suddenly the airbrush compressor decides to turn itself on because it's sort of drip fed, lost a bit of pressure, and so I have to go and switch it off. Obviously you can switch it off, but it means that it's not on all the time, so it's not making that noise all through all the time, just when it tops up. Right, I've put some more in. Try it again. I think that's going to be okay. I'm not going to mess with it anymore because it's nasty stuff. I don't want to. There's the airbrush coming on again, obviously because I've used this a little bit. So I think I need more solvent in this. I think that's why it's not coming out terribly well. So I'm going to just put it back into there again and put some more solvent in. It's very much trial and error. I don't think there's any any right and wrong way of particularly doing it. If it comes out well, then you've got it right. If it doesn't, then you've not. It's a nasty thing. It's not a nice thing to do. But basically, when you've finished using it, what I tend to do is just literally leave it in the airbrush to set, and you get like a plug of silicone which you can then remove. Sometimes you do have to do a bit of scraping around, depending sort of, but very often you can just get away with that. Just literally sort of pulling the plug out, especially if you're using it every few days and you just want to clean it up. But every now and then you won't. You'll just have to clean up the whole thing, which I actually quite enjoy doing. It's quite a fascinating kind of thing to do if you're not in a rush. Right, I'm going to try that again. The thing is, with when you're using silicone to paint with it's sort of like creamy, syrupy. When you use it to airbrush with, you really want it quite watery but plenty of colour. Yeah, I think that's okay. I don't know if you can actually see where I'm spraying there. There we are. You can see. Right, so I'm going to put on, as I'm going to be basically spraying fairly random stripes on the baby. I'll put it a bit higher so you can see a bit better. As I say, it's not an instructional video, just basically showing you how I do it. I'm not an expert at all. There are courses on airbrushing, but you know, I don't need to know how to do it in any skilled way, just to do it, really. So I'm going to put my mask on. There. I don't know if you can see my mask. It's ridiculous. Looks absolutely nonsense. Right, okay, I'm going to get started. So, go over to this side so that you can see what I'm doing. So first of all, I'm doing the creasing areas. Just filling up. Right, what I've done is, as you can see, I've done some fairly bland blue airbrushing. I'm going to go straight on and do some lilac airbrushing as well. Normally I would let the dust settle and go down and that, but I'm not going to today. I'm going to go on and do it now straight away. So again, I'm going to put my mask back on while I'm mixing this time, because this is getting quite misty in here. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. I'll just leave the camera on while I mix up. Actually, no, I'll turn it off while I'm mixing up, because it's a bit boring and I can't talk you through it. Right, so I've got my violet colour here. I'm using the Sand Violet colour, which is a gorgeous colour. Move it over there so it doesn't drop off, and I'm going to add this colour. Right, I've just dropped my my tub of silicone on the floor, so I'm taking that as a sign to finish now. So basically, yeah, I do it fairly randomly, as you can see. There's nothing very prescriptive about how I do it. I just basically, well, for this design, obviously, I just do stripes. How I feel I can do them. I've been doing this character for some time now. But yeah, I'm gonna leave now because I'm gonna get out of the room because it is quite misty. But I usually do one side, then I seal it, and maybe even do matting and turn it over. Certainly seal it, because when you actually mix up your airbrushing silicone, you put a lot of solvent in it and you put a lot of pigment in it, which means that the silicone part of it is quite weak, and I always feel that if I turn it over, it could easily sort of damage the painting because it's such a small amount of actual silicone in it. So I like to seal it before I actually turn it. So if I do airbrushing, I do it at the end, and I do one side and then I seal it and then I turn it. I'm not going to do any more to this. I might do some more detail in the face, but not with an airbrush. So that's all I'm going to airbrush on this side, and I'm really pleased with him. I'm happy with him. I'm not going to add any more colours, but this is how the customer wanted him. She wanted him in blues, so the blue and the violet go really well together. So I'll come back and I'll show you how he came out at the end. I might even show you some of the airbrushing on the back. Okay. Right, okay, I've done the first side in the blue and the look. You can't really see how he's going to look yet because he's covered in matting powder. I just put a little powder on the other side when I turned him. I've sealed the front side, but not matted yet. But I've put a bit of matting powder on the front just so that he doesn't stick to the board. And I'm just going to do the back. I'm going to do the back very, very lightly. So I'll just test it out on some paper. I need to. My airbrush is blocked up. I need to wash it out. So I'm gonna just check it. Oops. So I need to put the paint back in here, and I need to clean out my airbrush. I thought that I'd get away with it because this is my new airbrush actually. The other one, a little screw fell on the floor and I've not managed to find it yet, so I thought I'd try out my new airbrush. Yeah, no, it's obviously needs cleaning out. So I'm gonna switch the camera off because it'll take some time. I'm gonna clean it out and I'll come back and spray paint and show you how to do it. Okay, take two. I've cleaned out the airbrush now. I think it's working okay. I'm just putting my mask on and I'll get started with this. Ugh. Really hate these masks. Take an old mask up, as you can see. Right, back to it. Right. Yep, that's better. As you can see. Yep, that should be okay. Right, I'll start. Right, I think that's it for the blue. I'm just going to change to the lilac and do a few swipes of the lilac, and then that's it. I don't do a lot of stripes on the back of the baby because, to be honest, it doesn't get looked at that much. It just needs to look okay. So I'm just going to mix up some lilac and do the lilac stripes in a minute, or violet I think it is called. Right, here we go. I've got the violet mixed in. My blue bottle mask on. Right, I'm happy with that. I'm going to get out of here before I breathe in the toxic fumes and leave the air to settle for an hour or two while I get my lunch, and then I'll be back and I will seal this side of it, and then I will be matting. I'll be matting him because he's more or less done then, and then I'll show you him when he's finished. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here for now, leave the extractor on, and I'll see you soon.